Hey, sports fans, welcome to another episode of EBC Sports International. I'm your host tonight, EJ Gonzalez. Thanks for joining us. Without further ado, let me introduce to you tonight's panel, starting with Ken Cruz from Washington, D.C. What's up, man?
Hey, the cherries are blossoming here in DC, but the Lakers are the opposite of blossoming, completely out of the playoffs. So I am not happy.
Yeah, Wizards too, but hey, we got nice jerseys for next year.
Anti-Bloom City.
Next up from Toronto, we have Adian. What's up, Adian?
Well, I'm in a great mood. How are you guys doing? The Raptors locked in their 5th seed. The Maple Leafs are top of their division, and the Blue Jays are the American League favorites to go to the World Series. So I'm feeling pretty good about Toronto sports right now.
Yeah, good year for Toronto for sure. And who would have thought after they had painstakingly, or at the moment, had drafted Scotty Barnes, and everybody was just baffled, but look at them now.
Hey,
Lastly,
I take back everything I've said
about Scotty Barnes.
I appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Scotty Roy.
For sure, man. And lastly, from the Philippines, we have Ben joining us again. What's up, Ben?
What's up, BJ? What's up, guys? And to our viewers, loving the new time slot, the Sunday special. I'm very excited as well. The Philippine Basketball Association, my Barangay Ginebra, won the second game. So pretty much exciting. Game 3 later, and hopefully they take the lead for the series in the Governor's Cup final.
Let's go. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. And like always, we want to remind all of our viewers that we are by no means experts, but a good group of friends giving our own opinions about the sports world. Before we get into our main topics, though, we do have some updates from the sports world this week. First off, we have the final part of the Anthony Volpe interview with Carlo.
Champions are made to be legends. They grow, they win, they conquer, and they leave a legacy. One of sports' most iconic teams, the New York Yankees, are a prime example of where champions become legends. A great opportunity for Anthony Volpe to start and finish his career with a team that has won 27 World Series titles. Legends love to win and hate to lose. That mindset, however, can take a toll on an athlete, physically and mentally. The mental side of sports is equally as important as the physical side, says Anthony.
I just love winning. I hate losing. I just want to win, and I just try and do anything I can to help the team win. I think the mental side of the game is just as important, if not even more important than the physical side. So I think that's what happens when you start worrying about the results.
Despite the challenges and hurdles that come with being a professional athlete, Anthony's mother Isabel always reminds her son to stay grounded and humble.
We always tell him to be stay grounded. He's made it, but he hasn't made it to where he wants to be at. The game of baseball can't be bigger than him, or he can't be bigger than the game of baseball. He's done a good job, trying to, stay humble.
Athletes always want to leave a legacy, and for Anthony, he wants to be remembered for his hard work.
I guess I would just want to be remembered as, like I said, someone who always hustles, works really hard, and would kind of do anything to help the team win. Not only on the field, but off the field, I guess, too. So I guess that's kind of the legacy I'd want to leave.
Discipline, determination, and humility are some characteristics of champions. Qualities that Anthony Volpe has to cement himself to a great baseball career. Carlo Valdez, EBC Sports International, New Jersey.
Thanks, Carlo. Well, next in Maryland, the governor shows off his Taekwondo skills. Let's check it out.
Governor Larry Hogan and First Lady Yumi Hogan have presented a proclamation to declare Taekwondo Day in Maryland. This also to recognize the number of leading Taekwondo masters from across the state. Governor Hogan says Taekwondo Day in Maryland was first declared 6 years ago, April 5th. This is Arbor Day in Korea. This day has been especially chosen because Maryland has a special bond with Korea and also to represent the thriving Korean American community in the state. The governor adds Taekwondo is an important part of Korea's cultural legacy, and its successes and popularity has spread across Maryland and all around the globe. During the ceremony, Governor Hogan breaks through 8 boards, signifying his 8 years in office. The boards have been labeled toxic politics. In 2015, during trade mission to Asia, the governor received an honorary 9th degree black belt from the World Taekwondo headquarters in Korea. In February, Governor Hogan was awarded the Gwanghwa Medal or Gwanghwa Jang by South Korea's ambassador to the United States, Lee Soo-hyuk. It is the highest award that the Republic of Korea bestows to foreign dignitaries. In October this year, the proceeds of the annual Maryland Governor's Cup Taekwondo Championship are going to the Children's Cancer Foundation. Rosel Feria, Mata ng Agila International, Glen Burnie, Maryland. Trusted, connected, on point.
Thanks, Rosel. Man, Governor Hogan's swing is pretty impressive there, if I must say so myself. 8 boards, wow. Well, thanks for that story. And lastly, Ben has our latest update on EJ Obiena and the ongoing Philippine Basketball Association Governor's Cup Finals. Ben.
The Philippine Sports Commission formally ended on Monday the mediation between the Philippine Athletics Track and Field Association, PATAFA, and EJ Obiena. PSC Chairman Butch Ramirez called for an online meeting between him, Obiena, and PATAFA for the closure, which was just basically the icing on top of the cake, as both Obiena and PATAFA already patched things up last week. According to PSC Ramirez, he was pleased to see the kind exchanges during the meeting, a far cry from the trade of barbs that took place during the past month at the height of the rift between Obiena and PATAFA over liquidation issues. Ramirez was glad that the mediation taught him Obiena and PATAFA lessons for their betterment. He added that the PATAFA-Obiena mediation will surely prepare the PSC for future mediations ahead. Even a new management group is coming in line with the next Philippine president. The PSC reiterated that everything discussed during the entire mediation process is strictly confidential and cannot be shared with others. However, one major good news that came during the mediation was that PATAFA agreed to endorse Obiena for the Southeast Asian Games in Hanoi from May 12 to 23, formally clearing him for his men's pole vault title defense. And in other story, in Philippine Basketball Association, Ginebra evens the series versus Meralco 1-all. Justin Brownlee was back in his element as he carried Barangay Ginebra past Meralco 99 to 93 to equalize the 2021-22 PBA Governor's Cup Final Series at 1 game apiece. The Gin Kings broke away in the second period and kept it together and end the first half with a 60-42 advantage, and the lead further extended to 69 to 49 early in the third period. Brownlee turned in on almost triple-double with 36 points, 13 rebounds, and 9 assists, while Scotty Thompson tallied 16 markers and 12 boards, and Christian Stan Hardinger was also a crucial part of the Ginebra win as he posted 12 points and 11 rebounds. With the victory, the series is now tied at 1-1, and the two teams will face each other later at the Mall of Asia Arena for Game 2. That's it for me. EJ, back to you.
Thanks, Ben. Well, that's all the updates we have for this week. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll talk Final Four. Actually, the NCAA Championship. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. I'm EJ Gonzalez coming to you from Alexandria, Virginia. Let's kick off our topic of discussions. What a game earlier this week, right? When the number 1 seed Kansas rallied back for the win over the UNC Tar Heels, 72-69. Kansas set history for the largest comeback victory in tournament history, as they once trailed by as much as 16 points in the first half. Ken, I'm going to start with you on this one. NCAA championship game, definitely a nail-biter. Really good one. But what went wrong for the Tar Heels, you think?
Yeah, short answer, probably lack of depth, honestly. I think UNC relied heavily on a 7-deep squad. Well, actually, more like 6. Justin McCoy only logged in 2 minutes. The rest of the minutes were spread between just 6 players, right? So UNC, 8th seed in the tournament, they surpassed all expectations just by getting to that final game. They beat number 1 Baylor, number 4 UCLA, and their arch nemesis, number 2 Duke, at Coach K's final year. I mean, that in itself is an amazing year. I mean, I know Adian's going to talk about Hubert Davis, but I mean, this is the first year without Roy Williams, so that's insane already. They had an emerging, like their first half of the championship game was great. I mean, it looked like they were going to run away with it, but they went in at halftime 40-25 against the Jayhawks. But I mean, Kansas just, they had way more depth, right? And so it's a 40-minute game, and in the college, you're going like, 100% the entire time, and that showed in the second half. I mean, Kansas, they have like a 9-man rotation. They'd sub like 2-3 guys at a time, and that wore down on North Carolina. Especially, I mean, I think if you watched the game, you saw Puff Johnson, which is Cam Johnson's brother from the Suns, right? He doesn't get much burn during the course of the regular season, but like he had like the game of his life in that championship game. But I think he only logged in 18 minutes, but I think he gave like 200% of with each minute of the 18, to the point that he threw up on the court. I mean, the news was that the official news was that somebody like hit him in the stomach, but just by looking at him, it's the kid was gassed. And you got to give him a lot of credit for stepping up in a big stage. But I mean, the team was just too thin as far as depth in order to stay competitive against a team that like Kansas, that is just has a lot of guns that can go off. And it's unfortunate, because I mean, the real dagger, it came when North Carolina's big man, Armando Bacot, he re-sprained that ankle. Sprained it originally against the Duke game, and then 50 seconds left, he takes the ball in, sprains his ankle hard, and then right after he got subbed out, the guy who was guarding Kansas's David McCormick, he scored the game-stealing bucket, put them up by 3 against Brady Manick, right? And then another big reason I think that UNC lost has to be Caleb Love. His shot selections, that championship game, just he played too much hero ball and tried to get like every big shot. I mean, he did take big shots throughout the entire tournament, yes, but it really seemed like that he was out of gas, like that championship game. Like the shots that he took, I mean, it looked like every other game, but they were all sinking. This last game, it's just brick and brick. The biggest head scratcher had to be like that rush 3 he took. His team was down 3 seconds right after that McCormick 2-pointer, and he had 15 whole seconds left, and he just threw up that like almost half-court 3. Like, what are you doing, man? Like he could have been a lot smarter with that, gone for sets, had his team set some screens, get like a wide open guy to shoot a 3, or even gone for the 2 and played the foul game. But I mean, I think overall, still a great tournament for North Carolina. They proved a lot of people wrong, and proved Hubert Davis fans right.
Yeah, exactly. So that was going to be my next point, right? Despite just coming up short for the title, UNC's head coach Hubert Davis had a great first season as a successor of the legendary Roy Williams. So Adian, I wanted to get your reaction to Hubert Davis' first year as UNC's head coach, and do you foresee him eventually winning a title or multiple titles for the Tar Heels?
Yeah, EJ, not only was this one of the greatest first seasons for any coach of UNC, but it was the greatest first season of any coach of all time. What he did was unprecedented. He took his team to the NCAA finals, tournament finals for the first time ever. And Ken mentioned they took out some of the top teams. He mentioned Baylor, the undisputed champs of last season. UCLA, who went to the finals last season. A Final Four candidate, I should say. Duke, he took out Coach K in his last home game, and also his last game ever as a coach. And the pressure of that game, if we think about it, was the most of any conference rivalry game maybe of all time, because it was Coach K's potential last game and because of the bad blood between UNC and Duke. And so to get to the finals, to be up by 16 points, I think you got to consider that a win, a victory already. He silenced all his critics. I think there were a lot of people who were skeptical about him as a coach because they struggled earlier on in the season. They had some big losses, but he coached them through the whole maelstrom of the whole storm. He weathered the storm is what I'm trying to say. And that was an unbelievable effort, not just by Hubert Davis, but the entire team, right? A lot of those players, we'll see. Maybe they go to the NBA. Maybe they come back another year. But if they decide to reload, I can definitely see this being a championship team. They showed a lot to me, and I'm really impressed by how they did that.
Yeah, man, Hubert Davis, definitely huge shoes to fill in terms of stepping into Roy Williams' spot, and for his first year to take him all the way to the finals. And we know how hard it is to play in the NCAA tournament. It's not guaranteed. I don't know how many of our brackets were busted after the first round.
St. Peter's.
Exactly. So it's definitely a great season for him. I wouldn't be surprised if he can lead the Tar Heels to some championships. But let's focus on the winning team now. And with the winning team, the Filipino Kansas guard Remy Martin, he has been a spotlight for the Filipino community on social media. So Ben, I wanted to ask you, how awesome was it to see a Filipino shine on the biggest stage of college basketball?
Well, Remy Martin, this guy plays with energy, ferocity, and a lot of heart. For me, he was the hero of that game. And, making 11 of his 14 points in the second half and clearing the 16-point deficit in the last 10 and a half minutes of the game. Delivering Jayhawks' largest comeback win in their fourth national title in the program. So really props to Remy, for not stopping with his dream. He got snubbed in the NBA draft twice and went back to NCAA, and he got injured, sit out a couple of months, then became a role player. But look at him now. If you watch, we all watched the game. The announcer always kept mentioning this little guy, this little fella. Talk about heart over height. We saw his impact in that game, and he really made us proud. And after the celebration, he took into his Instagram, the trophy and the Philippine flag. That's how he loved his culture, his heritage as a Filipino, and he always expresses his intention to play for the Philippines. And of course, we are really proud of him, and he never really wavered and still pursue his dream in getting an NCAA champion, and hopefully go to the NBA, and also one day to get to play for the Philippines. And we are really proud of him, and really excited about his future. And it was really exciting for him to play that kind of game that he did in the championship. Really happy for Remy.
Definitely. I think he was a huge piece for Kansas' victory. It's funny because he's the one who took out Kansas a couple of years in a row in the last 5 years. He's been the kryptonite for Kansas. Then he pulls reverse Kevin Durant and joins the team that he's beaten to help them win a championship. So Remy Martin, man, he definitely made a name for himself in the tournament, and I definitely think he was the jump starter for that comeback victory. His huge 3-point shot after 3-point shot. The guy is awesome, and hopefully we do get to see him in the league. That would be really cool to have another Filipino join the NBA. But let's take a turn from the hardwood to the mound. The baseball regular season opened up last night, and the LA Dodgers are entering this season as the favorites according to Vegas Insider. And right after them are the Toronto Blue Jays. Lucky for us, we have some Dodgers and Blue Jay fans on tonight's panel, so I'll give them a chance to speak on their expectations on their team this season. So Ken, I'm gonna start with you, man. I know you can talk about your Dodgers, so let's hear it, bro. Favorites.
Of course I can. You see this ring right here? You see this? Look at, is it showing me? Is it showing me? Yes, it is. All right, cool. So, Dave Roberts, Dodgers manager, already guaranteed it, guys, that the boys in blue will get another one of these this year, and I, for one, am a big believer. Unfortunately for the league, the rich get richer. Salary caps aren't really a thing in baseball. So if you're willing to spend, you can really beef up your roster. And that's what the Dodgers did this year. They added first baseman Freddie Freeman, who just won his own ring with the Braves, this past season. And he joins Mookie Betts, Justin Turner, Max Muncy, Trey Turner, Will Smith, the non-slapping one, Chris Taylor, Cody Bellinger, and Gavin Lux. I mean, that's pretty much an all-star team already, guys. So today's their opening day. They had a base runner in 6 of the 9 innings, finishing with a 5-3 win over the Rockies. So now they're 1-0, and they might be 162 and actually, how many games are there this season?
162, yeah, 161 more games for them. Yeah.
All right, so they
a lot of baseball.
It might be an undefeated season, guys. First time, kidding. Well, on top of that, they added also reliever Craig Kimbrell, the guy with the crazy looking like bird pose before he pitches. And then you have your starting pitchers: Walker Buehler, Clayton Kershaw, Tony Gonsolin, Andrew Heaney, Julio Urias. I mean, like,
they're stacked. We get it.
Honestly, I think here's where I think the big concern is the bullpen, right? Replacing Kenley Jansen as their closer, but there's plenty of time and there's plenty. It's a big season, as I mentioned. So I think there's time to solidify that role, or they trade during the season before the trade deadline. I think that there's a lot of options here, and it's exciting as a Dodger fan, especially you lose one in a heartbreaking fashion, and then now you have your favorites again. But at the end of the day, too, it's all about how healthy are you. At the end of last season, Max Muncy was hurt, Clayton Kershaw was hurt, even Mookie Betts was pretty hurt, and Matt Scherzer, right? And so with a long season, that can happen again. So that's my big concern, is health and bullpen. If those aren't an issue, I think it's the Dodgers to lose.
Man, well, if they guaranteed it already, then I hope that somebody steps up in the MLB. But I'm gonna give Adrian a couple seconds to also talk about his Toronto Blue Jays, man. So like you said, they're the favorites in the American League.
I appreciate that, EJ. Yes, they are. But to get out of the AL East is going to be a tough task. And I think Ken would know, getting out of the NL West is pretty much the same thing. You got the Giants and the Padres in that division. In the AL East, you got the Yankees and Red Sox and the Rays, who just went to the World Series. So it's not going to be easy to get to the World Series if that's the case. But they still have a move to make, I think, that will take them over to the top. They got one of the best lineups in terms of pitching and best infields in terms of defense, and Vladdy Jr. returning on an MVP frontrunner season. So they said last year was the trailer. This season is the movie. So watch out for that.
Okay. Wow. I like that. I like that. The trailer and to this year's the movie. Well, hopefully you guys are the stars to take down the favorites of the Dodgers, because if I am to be rooting for an LA team, it would be Shohei Ohtani and the Angels. But
you're not rooting for Will Smith, dude, and the Dodgers?
No way, man. Well, the Nationals obviously are not even a topic of discussion, but their new jerseys are very, very nice, and at least they'll look good losing this season. But there's a lot of baseball games to look forward to. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll start talking about the NBA. EBC Sports International will be right back. Welcome back. You're watching EBC Sports International. So earlier this week, the Lakers officially missed the cut for the play-in tournament, and it was dealt at the hands of Phoenix, who also ended their playoff hopes just last season. But despite all the chatter LeBron and the team did at the beginning of this season, he defended his team even though they were the oldest team in the league. But it looks like they're officially no longer relevant this season, and the narrative about the team not being as good as portrayed seems to have overruled. So Ben, I'm going to start with you. It's expected that Frank Vogel and the Lakers will be parting ways by the start of next season. I want to ask you, Ben, do you think that it was Frank Vogel who was the issue for this year's Lakers season?
Well, I think Vogel was set up to fail. No, I'm not going to say that he did a good job, but he tried his best with what we had. Now, if they fire him, they'd be doing him a favor. But it also means that they're blaming him, and it's going to be unfair for him. He's not terrible as a coach. I think the front office just didn't consider his strengths and weaknesses as a coach when they traded Russell Westbrook and signed the players that they did. Remember, even with LeBron and AD injured last year, he was still able to maintain a top 5 defensive team with the players he had. All the players that they traded away, look what they ended up with. All of them are in the playoffs. And name all the players that they traded. They're all doing well. Well, in any case, I think he was set up from the start, and I don't think it's going to be Frank Vogel's issue, or he is the issue or the problem as to why the Lakers had the worst season ever in their franchise history. And I think it is better for them, and if they want to rebuild, they have to do that. I think the front office really have to get on the board and really do their job. And I think Magic Johnson should be on board as well to really build this team. And
I mean, if Magic Johnson is still willing to do some front office work for them, it looks like he'll need to be there to save them, though. And Ken, obviously you're the Laker fan of the group. I wanted to ask you, man, I mean, what went wrong this season, and what do they need to fix going into next season? Or what changes do you foresee them doing aside from this head coach, if you even believe this is the problem?
Look, I mean, what you asked, what went wrong? I mean, what didn't go wrong? It's just the season was over like 2 months ago for LA. It's just, this was probably the most frustrating season to watch as an NBA fan, as a Laker fan, my entire life. I mean, even the lottery Lakers from the time that Kobe retired to right before LeBron joined were more entertaining and a lot more fun to watch than this team. It's, a lot of people talk about the fact that, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Westbrook, they only played 21 games together. But I mean, they went 11-10 in those games. So it wasn't like they were like shattering the world or a championship caliber team with the 3 of those guys on the floor. Yes, as you mentioned, I mean, this team on paper was old, and on the court, they looked even older, believe it or not, right? I mean, just straight no hustle most of the season, dropping like winnable games, like probably like one of the most disappointing. I mean, like those 2 OKC games that they were up by like 20 plus points and they just like collapsed. I mean, that kind of just shows you what kind of a season this is, because that wasn't even the only instances. I can't even remember the amount of leads these guys have blown this season, throwing away W's. And yes, Anthony Davis had a couple freak injuries, one where LeBron pushed the defender onto his knees, and the other one where he stepped on someone's foot, trying to get a crazy lob pass, and then LeBron sprained his ankle again, and then Westbrook just playing horribly. I mean, yes, but the problem started before the season even started. The makeup of this team, and what hurts me the most is that this may not be the end of this nightmare. This nightmare can potentially continue for another season, and that is just because I mean, like Westbrook will most likely pick up that $49 million option or $47 million option, and that'll once again cause the Lakers to have very few options, no matter who the coach is. I mean, I really don't want Doc Rivers. Like he throws his players on the bus all the time, and I mean, I'd be down for Quinn, Utah's coach.
Quinn Snyder. Quinn Snyder.
Yeah, Quinn Snyder. If that's true, I like Quinn Snyder. So, but I mean, I think a lot of people just throw in a bunch of names in the air and see what sticks.
Yeah.
The thing that really needs to change is the actual Laker management. As Ben said, yes, Frank Vogel, he's a defensive coach. They threw a bunch of like old offensive guys at him. Like, what do you think he's gonna do? And then like with Kurt Rambis and Jeannie Buss, like as like the guys that are like making these decisions, like these aren't great. They don't have great track records. And if it weren't for LeBron James choosing LA as his like destination, not just because of the team, but also because of like all the things that come with. I mean, look at all the commercials that he's in, extra commercials. He was always in commercials, but extra commercials since joining LA. This was a business decision. If he didn't make this business decision to go to LA, we would still continue to be a lottery team. And so that is what I'm scared of most, is that he might not even play with us this next season. I believe he has the player option to leave.
Right. So that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to talk about. That perfect segment, because that's what I was going to ask Adian, right? Because actually, LeBron, he answered a question recently on who he would like to play with in the NBA. Obviously, his answer was Bronny, his son. Like we know he's waiting for his son to join the NBA. But aside from that, it would be Stephen Curry. So now we're starting to hear like stories of LeBron looking elsewhere. So, Adian, I wanted to ask you, do you think that this is going to happen? That we would have a league where we saw Stephen Curry and LeBron James on the same team?
I find it hysterical that he's still recruiting players at this juncture of the season. He's got Westbrook, who he recruited. He's got Anthony Davis, who he's recruited. Like, how many players do you need? I don't see it happening, EJ. I think it's almost a near impossibility that happens, because Steph Curry is a Warrior for life. And if LeBron thinks he's going to go to the Warriors, I just don't see that happening, considering all of the salaries that they have to pay. That's just not going to happen. But this is what LeBron does. He greases up guys well before he plays with them. He'll talk about Anthony Davis, like, when he was in college, I thought he was going to be one of the best players to ever play the game. He's going to be a top 75 player. I'm sure a lot of that he's right about, but this is just greasing up. Like, there's going to be a point where the Lakers are tied to Damian Lillard this offseason. I'm sure there is. And we can look back like a year or 2 years ago when he was like, if nobody wants Damian Lillard, I want him on my team. He does this for a living. He greases up other stars so that he can get them to play in LA or wherever he's at, Cleveland, Miami, doesn't matter. So this is just the tactics of Le GM.
Yeah, exactly. This is Le GM. So we're going to have to wait and see. Honestly, it's up in the air. Wherever Bronny gets drafted, obviously LeBron is going to choose to go there. So, I mean, that it all depends on, I guess, who the lottery teams are in the upcoming seasons, right? So, if for some chance it's the Warriors, we could see LeBron in a Warriors jersey playing with them. It all depends on where Bronny goes. But let's focus on the now and the NBA regular season. That's about to end, but the play-in teams have already been determined. And if we were to look at the landscape of the play-in tournament, here are the teams that will be competing for the final two playoff spots. In the East, the Cavs, the Nets, the Hawks, and the Hornets. And then in the West, we have the Clippers, the Pelicans, the Spurs, and the Timberwolves. So, Adian, I'm going to start with you. We're going to focus on the Eastern Conference. Who do you believe will take the 7th and 8th spot out of the 4 teams that I mentioned in the East?
Well, the craziest part is it's a 1-game series, right? If you fall in the 7th and 8th bracket, at least you have 2 chances to try to win a game. So if the Cavs play the Nets in that top tier bracket, I think the Nets will get the 7th seed. And then if the Cavs have to play either the Hawks or Hornets, I don't like the chances of any of these teams, but the only proven track record I see is Trae Young, who took them to the Eastern Conference Finals last season. So I'm going to go with the Hawks for the 8th seed.
Wow. Okay. So you got the Nets and the Hawks. It's pretty crazy that we're even talking about the Nets being in a play-in tournament. They've also had a disappointing season. Even when Kyrie's on the floor, it seems like they just don't have time to mesh with each other. But Nets in the play-in tournament, but you got Nets and Hawks in the Eastern Conference. So let's focus on the Western Conference now, Ben. I want to ask you, who do you think takes the 7th and 8th spot in the Western Conference?
Well, the 7th, Minnesota Timberwolves, the 8th, and the Clippers. The Timberwolves are not a team to take lightly, with their leader and franchise player, the number 1 overall pick in the 2015 draft, Karl Anthony Towns, and the first big man who won the three-point shoot contest and greatest big man three-point shooter that he brags.
Yeah.
And they're team to beat. He also leads the team in blocks, averaging 1.2 per game. And another player that we have to look for, the 20-year-old Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
Second year, and he's really made an impact for the team. For the Clippers, this has been a roller coaster for them. One of their 2 main superstars, Kawhi Leonard, has not played a game for them this year because of the rehab. That's questionable. NBA fans remember how Leonard lifted the Toronto Raptors on his back to help them when he was healthy. And we have Paul George. He made his return after missing 49 games for the Clippers.
Yep.
And I'm rooting for the Wolves. With this matchup, I think they have a big chance of winning it against the Clippers. So it's going to be an exciting matchup for the 7th and 8th.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Timberwolves, man, what a turnaround they have done, and Anthony Edwards definitely a huge part of that. And Karl Anthony Towns has been playing on another level as well. So I definitely agree with you there. I see the Timberwolves coming out of the play-in tournament, and as well as the Clippers because of the return of Paul George. The Pelicans, they actually said that Zion could return this season, or at least his uncle said that, who is his so-called manager. But I don't know if that's enough to help the Pelicans because we haven't seen the guy play since he was drafted, to be honest. So Ken, I want to ask you though, the 7th and 8th spot, they're looking at a matchup between either the Suns or the Grizzlies. So who do you think has the best matchup from the 4 play-in teams?
As much as I hate to say it, it would probably be the Clippers. I mean, I feel like the Clippers are, well coached with Tyronn Lue, and I don't know what the latest update with Kawhi Leonard is, but
yeah.
If Kawhi Leonard is on that court and Paul George is back and killing it right now, they were already doing very well for a team without their 2 superstars, right? So the fact that their 2 superstars can be locked and loaded for the playoffs, and especially if they're active against either even the Suns, but more so if they're active against the Grizzlies, I feel like look, the Suns right now are probably the most well-rounded team in the league, and they are a well-oiled machine, and they're coming in hot. I don't have confidence in Chris Paul in any Western Conference Finals until I see him past that. Right. Get his championship. He something happens, either he gets hurt or he doesn't play well. And then the Grizzlies, I think they are a little too young. As great as they are, I feel like they still have to prove themselves. The Clippers have at least proved themselves in the first round. So that's where I think they are a better the best matchup possible for either the Suns or the Grizzlies.
No, I agree with the take, but the Grizzlies, man, they've been doing great even without John Morant. I think they were 20-2.
They're insane right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. they're fun to watch. So I mean, the Western Conference, oh man, the Suns and the Grizzlies are must watch. So best of luck for whoever gets the matchup with them. So let's go ahead and take our quick break, and when we return, we'll talk about the latest on Tiger Woods and the Masters, and of course finish off with our question of the week. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, sports fans. Let's talk about our last topic before our question of the week, and that is Tiger Woods and his return to the Masters. So after round one of the Masters, Tiger Woods put up a 71, very respectable, 1 under par round, and found himself in striking distance, tied at the 10th spot. And you know, it's been 508 days since Tiger last played a PGA event, but he has certainly turned some heads after making his return. So after his day one, he said, "I'm right where I need to be." And after round two, he is tied at the 19th spot, but Scottie Scheffler seems to be taking a huge lead in the Masters. So Ben, I want to start with you first. How do you think Tiger Woods looked in his return to a PGA Tour event?
I always root for Tiger. He made golf as popular as it today. It will be great for the sport for him to win. So it's going to be a great comeback for Tiger. He can do whatever he wants. He's Tiger Woods, and he may have bruised and battered body in the last 10 years and some other issues. Still he comes back and make something out of it. And also in this Master, I think with this level, I think he can still win, and he knows the course really well, and he's very comfortable playing on it. So I think he can win still in this Masters.
Man, I mean, that would be great, man. I mean, Adian, how about you, man? Do you think that he has a chance, especially now that Scottie Scheffler has a huge lead?
It's a slim chance, but I'm rooting for him, and I think
definitely
you got to think about just the fact that he's here playing at the Masters after what most of us thought he wouldn't be playing, living a normal life, let alone playing golf. So the fact that he's here playing the Masters is a huge win for him. He didn't look great. I think his body it looks like it's kind of breaking down on him. But the fact that he made it through, he was 9th place going into the second day. Now he's in 19th place, but he's not that far off. He's definitely got a chance. It's a slim one, but we gotta just give credit where it's due. The fact that he was able to overcome all that he has to be able to get to this point, that shows that's what separates the greatest in every sport, right? Like Tom Brady is not the greatest because of his skill alone. It's because he's just mentally tougher than everyone above him, everyone below him. Same with Michael Jordan, same with Lewis Hamilton in Formula One. The best just find ways to mentally overcome the physical challenges and whatever it might be, even the competition. So, I mean, he's got all the tools. I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, definitely. So you and I both, and golf is definitely one of the most mental tough games, one of the biggest sports you have to be mentally tough, because you're playing against yourself, and anything can happen. In round 3, I've seen many leads dwindle because of the pressure of being in that number 1 spot. So it all depends on what happens in round 3. But Ken, whether Tiger Woods wins this Masters or not, he's picking and choosing what event he goes to now. So do you think that he's healthy enough to continue to compete and ever win his 83rd PGA Tour event, to be the most victorious golfer in PGA Tour history?
Yeah, well, I mean, as you mentioned, he's picking and choosing, right? So if I were him, I'd only pick my favorite courses at the best possible weather, right? So if I see that, if he sees that it's 20-30 miles and our wins that are forecasted, then I'd be like, oh, well, I'm dropping out. Because like he mentioned it after his first day that he was just sitting in buckets of ice to prep just for day 2. And so, you know, it just one thing to note too is like, as AD mentioned, he's still recovering. He's 14 months recovering from, you know, a major car accident that, you know, sidelines most. But I mean, the guy is still, you know, like he's still young and he still has plenty, like if there's a will, there's a way. And Tiger has shown that. I mean, even just his last Masters win, like that one in itself was already a crazy feat. But I mean, like, I feel like with just the way that he's playing right now, I mean, he's far off from the first spot, but he's only 4 behind second place. So I think if he has, like, we can't count him out of this tournament. I feel like if he has a great Saturday, he the forecast for the winds, it looks like it's calming down a lot tomorrow. So if he has an amazing Saturday, then we might see red shirt championship Sunday Tiger. So.
Oh man. Well, honestly, it's been a sight just to see him walking around. And you guys mentioned the catastrophic, you know, car accident that he faced, and for him to be walking 18 holes in the last 36 holes in the last 2 days. Bro, I've walked 18 holes on a par 3 course. The next day, my legs were jello, and this guy's coming off of a huge car accident. So for him to be competing at this level, just definitely shows his mental fortitude. I definitely think that he has a chance in this Masters, but if not this Masters, he's going to get that 83rd PGA Tour event because he has that will to. So whether he wins or not, I'm going to be happy because I see him walking the course, and it's fun watching golf when Tiger is there competing.
Yeah.
All right.
2.8 million on Thursday's viewership for ESPN. The year before, without Tiger, 2.3 million average.
See?
So he brings in the crowd.
How much pressure does that put on the other golfers, though? That's
it gives them less pressure. That's why I think Scottie Scheffler is actually shining, because all of the media has been focusing on Tiger's return. They barely talked about Scottie Scheffler, who's golf's number 1. He's the number 1 player in golf, and I think
like the early 2000s when you know, like you see Tiger on the board, a lot of the big stars like get nervous and they don't play their game. But now it's kind of like how like young players go at old LeBron. They'll try and yam it on him. That wasn't the case back then. It's kind of like what's happening with Tiger right now. They're trying to make a name for themselves. They're trying to put say, I respect you, Tiger, but now's my time to shine.
Exactly. I think Tiger takes the pressure away from them, allowing them to perform even better. And that's actually a big deal when it comes to golf. Like, any distraction can hinder you, but if all the distraction is focused on one player, then you're free to do whatever you want. You know, so we'll see what happens in this Masters, but we can't end the episode without our question of the week. And this week, you know, with a comeback victory in the NCAA championship, and, you know, a comeback of Tiger Woods from that accident to coming back and competing again, that's going to be our topic for the question of the week. What's your favorite comeback moment in sports history? Ben, I'll start with you.
I would choose Muhammad Ali, you know, with his fight with Joe Frazier in 1971. Frazier dropped Ali with the beautiful left hook in round 15 and won by unanimous decision. And then Ali fought again in February 1973 against Ken Norton and was defeated and had his jaw broken. And there's another fight that he fought Big George Foreman, the young and talented heavyweight back then, and he won that fight and had another rematch with Frazier, and he won that as well. I think that cement his legacy as really the greatest boxer of all time. Although when he is about to retire, he still went back to fight. You know, as we all know, when great fighters, you know, like Manny Pacquiao, trying to retire and still want to fight. you would really lose that fight. But looking at those fights, you really saw Ali really prove himself that he was still the greatest player despite of everything and the age, and with his opponents being younger than him and bigger and better, but still he was able to win those fights.
Okay, so we got Ali for Ben. How about you, Adian?
It's got to be when the Boston Red Sox broke the curse of Bambino, and they came back from an 0-3 deficit to win not only that series, but to go on to win the World Series, and then a few more after that in the coming decades. I'm by no means a Boston Red Sox fan, but that was, I think, the greatest comeback ever.
Definitely. How about you, Ken?
It's not the greatest, but it's my greatest. 2000 Western Conference NBA Finals, Lakers, Blazers, Game 7. Lakers down 15, 10 minutes to go, which is a lot back then. And they came with a comeback with the infamous Kobe to Shaq lob and just, rocked LA. So, that's mine.
Definitely. Well, I think mine would definitely have to be the Washington Nationals comeback victory against the Astros in the 2019 World Series. Not winning any game at home, winning all of them on the road. So that's
great.
That's good. That's all the time we have for this week's episode. So on behalf of everyone on our panel, thank you so much for joining us, and be sure to tune in again next week, and make sure to visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com, and watch us on net25.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Eagle News to join the conversation. For EBC Sports International, I'm EJ Gonzalez. Thanks, everyone.